First movement we have here are swimmers. We're going to have our hands just hovering above the ground, going all the way down to our sides, and then trying to keep those palms as close to the ground as possible as we continue to bring them up over our head and then back down again. These transitions are the difficult part, and that's where we get our mobility and the range of motion through our shoulder. So we want to try to stay tight and as smooth as possible while going through that transition up through the rib cage and then back up over the head. These swimmers can also be done in the opposite direction. So the hands coming down while being over the head and going through that transitional process before ultimately then reaching the side of our bodies before arching its way all the way back up top before pulling itself back down again. Next movement we have here are snow angels. I like to think about trying to keep one of my nails. In this example, I got my middle fingernail just barely grazing along the ground here, so that way I can try to keep a consistent height of my arms hovering off the ground as I go through nice big range of motion, creating a snow angel like movement with my arms. In addition to that, I'm also thinking about my arms being pulled away from the center of my body as far as I can in all directions that I go through this range of motion. So when my arms are over my head, I'm thinking about them being pulled as far over my head as possible. When they're in a Y, being as far pulled in that Y as possible. When they're to the side of me, as far away from one another as possible. Always trying to push those arms as far out as they possibly can as I try to keep the hands at that same consistent height off the ground and trying to work as big of range of motion as I possibly can, both up and down. The next movement we have I call airplane switches, because we start in an airplane-like positioning with our arms, shoulder blades pinching to keep them off of the ground, as we then bend our elbows as much as we can, bringing the palm to the top of our head and the back of our hand up our lower back as far as we can. We're trying to maximize this reach without really making contact or resting into the body.